So, welcome all you beautiful people. Welcome everybody who's joining us on Facebook. Welcome everybody who is joining us on our Zoom call. Welcome everybody who's joining us through Out of the Body Travel. Whatever it is you're doing to join us, you are welcome. And I'm Mike DeLuca. As you know, tonight is another session of our Sunday Goal Achievement Mastery MasterMind. And always the purpose of tonight is, first of all, brought to you by my company, Integrated Wellness and Development, LLC. And the purpose of tonight is to share information, to educate, to inspire, perspire, create new opportunities for growth. And we are not here to diagnose, cure, or prevent illnesses. Tonight's episode is about relationships. We don't make any claims of making your relationships perfect. We are simply sharing information and exploring ideas that are out there. And I'm pretty excited about tonight's episode. So let's jump right in. I am going to share my screen and we're going to get the PowerPoint up and running. And here we go. Can everybody see the PowerPoint? Okay, so as you know, the topic of tonight is how to use the 4 antidotes to the 4 poisons of our relationships. What do you think of them apples? Did you know there were 4 poisons of our relationships? Well, this is the result of I went to a conference 2 weeks ago, and one of the sessions was about relationships and optimizing your relationships. And they talked about the groundbreaking work of Dr. John and Julie Gottman. They are some of the world's most prestigious relationship coaches. As a matter of fact, I believe they have like a 91% success rate in helping relationships go from troubled to wonderful. So tonight I'm going to share just one small part of what they talk about. And they talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse for relationships. I call it the 4 poisons and what their antidotes are. And so here we go. So the first poison we're going to talk about relationships is criticism. Criticism. This is about when we are faced with an interaction with either a partner, a coworker, family member, whoever it is we have a relationship with. When we begin to criticize the other person, let's say the other person brings up something, or we're not comfortable or we're angry, instead of communicating with them, we criticize them or we become defensive. And as a result, we create a defensive reaction to them. Okay, how many have ever experienced that happening to you? Suddenly, out of nowhere, somebody starts getting real defensive, and it's all about now you're the bad guy or the bad girl, right? This is a very common poison. You see that in relationships at home. I have seen that a number of times at work and work situations with management and coworkers and such. But this is the first poison, and it literally can poison a relationship. So one of the antidotes that they recommended being very, very powerful in this situation is speak in unarguables, okay? So this is all about talking openly and honestly about your real honest, authentic feelings and using I statements. I'm feeling this right now, right? And also, it's very helpful to preface that and support that statement with expressing positive needs and also expressing positive observations of the other person. Okay? You know, you're a very sweet person, you're very kind, but right now, you know, in this relationship at work here, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling overworked. I'm working really, really hard. I'm working 12 hours a day, but I find that I'm doing my work and your work, and I find that you're not really pulling your weight. And this is causing me to feel real upset. It's causing me to feel real exhausted. And I want to honestly say that I appreciate you're a brilliant worker. You know, you're a great coworker. You have great credentials, but this is what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling overwhelmed and under-assisted. Okay? Do you see the difference from you're such a lazy slob? You know, why are you making me do all the work? You see the difference? And do you see how by taking the magic antidote, instead of it being a confrontational, blaming, confrontational and criticizing nasty kind of situation, rather than being defensive, we are feeling confident and comfortable in our ability to share openly what's going on inside of us without being afraid of being seen as weak, right? Most people who take a very aggressive, defensive posture every time you try to start a conversation or you're in a situation that they might be in the wrong, so to speak, those strong personalities don't like to see the fact that we have a hand in every situation that occurs in our lives. We co-create, right? So rather than getting defensive, relax and think about talking honestly about what's going on inside of you in a very relaxed way, a non-defensive way, and a non-accusational way. And you'll find that the situation will progress much more positively. Does that make sense to everybody? Good, good. You know, I know many men have a challenge with this about talking openly and honestly about our feelings, right? But if we bring this as a tool to increase communication and to increase cooperation, it'll build a bond of trust with the other person, and it'll cause them to also feel comfortable about sharing how they're feeling. And they may, you know, open up and say, wow, you know what? I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that you felt that I was, you know, not pulling my weight. Let's talk about that. Let's plan our work a little better so we know what you're doing better, what I'm doing. You know, maybe I wasn't clear on your expectations of me. Now that we've talked about it, I'm much clearer. This is what can happen. Okay. So the first poison, criticism, right? And we've been taught that, you know, in the Dale Carnegie program, never criticize, condemn, and complain are, you know, some of the three things that he talked about. So on everybody's list, being criticized or criticizing someone as a defense mechanism is sure to poison the situation. So speak openly and honestly in unarguable terms. No one can argue that you are feeling this, and especially if you express that feeling in a non-accusational way. Okay, let's move to the second poison. All right. The second poison is showing immediate contempt. right? When we show, when we react to the other person, when we show disrespect, right? When we show and we puff ourselves up to show superiority over them and look down on them in our tone, in our stature, and in our words, we are showing contempt, and it's disrespectful. Or if we continue to be cynical around them, about them during this situation, right? We're poisoning the situation. Or if we're showing negative body language, aggressive or negative body language, right? We're showing contempt for them, not respect, not giving them their space, immediately trying to, assert our superiority over them. And how dare you even think that I might be capable of being wrong in this situation, right? So that's the second poison. Second antidote, appreciation. Building a culture of appreciation within yourself, within your relationships, within your family, within your company, your team, within your neighborhood, right? A culture of appreciation where before you do or say anything, focus on the other person's qualities, their positive qualities, their gifts, their strengths, right? Before you open your mouth, before you take a posture, before you react, take a beat for a moment there and focus on who is this incredible being in front of you. Look at all that's right with them, all that's good with them. And before we project all kinds of things on them, focus on appreciating their wonderful qualities. And then begin your conversation expressing gratitude for their positive being and their positive actions, right? When we do that, we turn the whole situation around, right? We relax, we move from reacting with defensiveness to acting out of compassion, acting out of appreciation, acting out of gratitude, right? When we do that, any conversation, any communication, any altercation can't help but turn into something more positive, more constructive, and more collaborative, right? Because it's a natural tendency, right, for when people are treating us with respect, we're going to treat them with respect, right? It's a natural cause and effect. And likewise, we want to do that. And we want to be the first one to do that before we open our mouth and say anything else that will equate to us sticking our foot in our mouth or creating a very negative and a very angry situation. And all of the poisons result in pretty much the same result, right? A toxicity, negativity, anger, resentment. The antidotes all result in a similar result of open communication, cooperation, compassion, and co-workership. That's what we want. So, appreciation. And remember, it's not just a one-off deal of just appreciate them for now. Right? It's establishing within us and around us a culture of appreciation and gratitude. And this will bring incredible results in our relationships, also in our attempts to begin to attract and manifest the things in our lives that we want to have. Everything that we require, dream of, desire flows to us through other people. And so we want to build strong, positive, attractive channels by strong, beautiful, cooperative, compassionate, and grateful connections with people. Okay. Does that make sense? All right, that's number 2. Let's move on to number 3. This is a really, really common one. The third poison is defensiveness. And I've seen this, and I'll admit I've used it. In my past, I've used it. And that is, instead of owning up to and taking responsibility for something, reversing it and projecting the blame on the other person, right? When they're discussing, hey, I want to talk to you about what you said or what you did. Oh, well, I said that because of what you did to me. Or I said that because you don't treat me with respect, right? And so not only do we reverse the blame, but suddenly now we're playing the victim. Oh, woe is me. Look at what you did to me. Look at what everyone did. Look what they did to me when I was young. Look what they did. Look what my parents did. Look what my old boss did. Look what this did. Look what that did, right? And blaming our behaviors on what someone else did, playing the victim. We are seeing this take a toll in our society right now, where people are playing the victim consciousness. They are playing the consciousness of being owed something, being entitled to something, and playing the victim that is the reason why they deserve to have that. And it's really becoming a destructive force in our society, right? And the other thing is the other way we express defensiveness is not owning up to our own mistakes, right? We are a very mistake-aversive society. And that's around the world. I think in a previous episode, I talked about, I had a client in Japan, and they were telling me that there's such a fear of being dishonored in Japan if you're caught making a mistake, that oftentimes workers will work twice as hard to hide a mistake than it would have taken to just fix it, prevent it happening again. And not only our mistakes can become tragic, as well as poison our relationships. Okay. And finally, making excuses, right? Making all kinds of excuses. Right. Well, I meant to, but my grandmother ate my car keys. There's actually a book written about that, on excuses for not turning in your homework or turning in your work. My dog ate my homework and my grandmother ate my car keys. It's an actual book. So what's the antidote to all of that? Keep your car keys away from your grandmother and take responsibility, right? Take responsibility. The world is not going to end if you made a mistake or you're the person who is the source of the problem or challenge, right? It's okay. The earth is not going to open up and swallow you. But if you don't own up to it, you could be ruining the relationship you have, right? And by blaming someone else for something that you have the hand in causing, really damages trust and it damages open communication, right? So acknowledge and accept the other person's perspective, because everybody's perspective is valid and worthy, right, of being heard. And then offer a sincere apology for any wrongdoing you've done, right? It's pretty logical, pretty common sense, but it's real important for us to catch ourselves when we fall into this. Again, we move into reacting, emotional reaction, versus consciously taking responsible, positive action. And in every area of our lives, we want to be moving towards being able to be conscious about the choices and the things we do and choose to act, not react, because it will always turn out better. Okay? All right, let's move on to the fourth poison. And the fourth poison is stonewalling. Right? No relation to Stonewall Jackson. Stonewalling is, and I've seen this, and I've done this, stonewalling where you're caught off guard or you're becoming defensive. And instead of communicating and cooperating and staying engaged, you withdraw. You shut yourself in. You close yourself down, or you turn away during the conversation, right? Or suddenly you discover that you have a whole bunch of busy work to do, so you start acting busy. Or you engage in distractive behavior to take that other person's attention off of the discussion they were trying to have with you, okay? This is stonewalling. And although it's a more passive-aggressive action, it's still just as damaging as criticism and, defensiveness and attacking and all of those things. It's subtler, more subtle, but it's still equally as poisonous. And after a while, it really can damage the communication. So the fourth poison is stonewalling. The antidote to that is change your state and self-soothe. Change your state. Change the emotional state that you are operating from right now. Stop. Take a breath. Meditate. Chant. Do whatever it is that puts you in a positive state. Do something that will psychologically soothe you. Take your attention off of the negative emotions that are brewing. And then also revisit Antidotes 1 through 3. The whole point of it is be positive, right? Stop. Don't react. Take a break. And act consciously, honestly, authentically, and not from your emotions, but from your heart. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share and let's chat about this. Love to hear your questions, your comments, your experiences with any of these poisons and antidotes. Love to hear it. So who wants to be second? Let's go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, Janine, you raised your hand. You get to go.
Hi, Mike. Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, very concise recipe there for wonderful relationships. Just a little aside, I knew a man who lived to be 105, and I asked him what his secret was. And he said one of the things was to have good relationships. Another thing I found that for number 4, stonewalling, is to buy time, to be able to say to the person, I would really like to explore this with you and talk about this further. I'm not in a good space right now to do this. Can we do this again? Because it's really important to me that we work this out. Can we do it when I've had a chance to gather myself and be more focused?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's really great. It's a great antidote. It's right in line with what we're talking about. And why not? You know, if we feel the next thing that's going to come out of our mouth is something toxic, why even do it? You know, that helps actually build the trust and communication. If you felt trusting enough to say, hey, could we take a beat here? Could I gather myself and my thoughts, come back, because I really want to have a constructive, you know, positive conversation with you. They're going to respect that. And I think that will actually make the situation more positive. So great point, Janine. Thank you. Jocelyn.
Yes, 2 things. First, what you brought, it reminded me of a situation I lived years ago with a coworker. The problem was that we were working on a project together and doing very, very well. And I appreciated what he was doing, except he was making jokes of a sexual connotation, and that was not making me feel good. And I didn't know how to approach it really, because so I thought about it, and one day I came in and he was at the computer, and I said, you know, I want to talk to you because, you know, I truly appreciate the work you're doing and what we're doing together. You are an excellent writer and very creative, and we've been doing good, very good so far. The only thing is that when you make some of these jokes, I don't feel respected. And that makes me uncomfortable. And I like you as a friend. And I just hope that you will understand that, so that we can continue building on our friendship, and that we can continue the good work we're doing. So he looked at me and he said, well, those are just jokes, you know. I said, maybe for you, they are jokes. For me, that's not the case, and I'd like you to stop. And so he said, okay, if it makes you feel like that, I won't make those jokes anymore. I said, okay, good, then we can continue working together. And we did continue working together. And sometimes he was kind of coming close, but oops, he was swallowing it back because he knew what I would do about it. So that was a one thing. So when you said that, to be honest, I spoke from I told him what it made me feel, what I appreciated about him, and what I hope if we solved it, that we could do together. And it worked. In that case, it worked. The other thing I wanted to mention also is that I learn and I teach a technique from Japan. You refer to Japan. From Japan, they call Naikan in Japan. It's a psychotherapy in Japan. It is practiced here as well through Japanese psychology. And the principles of that approach, and they rehabilitate prisoners with it in Japan, there are 3. The first one is, you think of a person that is important to you. You know, you may be at the point of making an important decision about that relationship, but then you ask those 3 questions. What have I received from that person during the time we were in relationship up till now? Second, what have I given to that person so far? And I think so often we realize maybe we haven't given as much, or if we have given too much, then we will realize it too. And the third question is not what trouble that person caused me. The third question is, what problem have I caused to that person? And it's very surprising. This is the last question we want to ask, is what problem have I caused to that person? And that's where in the exercise most of the time is given, because these are the blind sides that we don't give attention to. This is the piece of the pie that we don't have the information, therefore we don't have the appropriate, I say, intervention as a result of that. So like the prisoners, you know, they complain that their mother was not the best, she was absent or she was drinking or whatever. But it's when they address the third question, which is, what problem have you caused to your mother since you were born? And then even the prisoners, they start crying because they realize, oh my goodness, they have done quite a bit of stuff that made the mother really, really hurting. And it's that question that rehabilitates the prisoner. So I think before we take a final decision over a relationship or talk to someone, I think we should maybe practice this NICAN. I know it saved me a work relationship when I did it with that very difficult boss. And when I got to the point of the problem I had caused, the thing is that I didn't have to say to the person the problem I had caused to her, because she was a difficult person and I had all the reason, I think, to be unhappy with her, except that I also realized that I also had something to do in the reaction she had. I didn't voice it because some people, you better not, they're going to do more. But because I knew it, I changed my approach to her and I got into more on gratitude as to what I had received. And then it changed the whole relationship till I left. Of course, I wouldn't work my whole life with the person, but I saved my job. I was able to finish being paid for my studies, which she was doing. And she gave me another job that got me noticed by somebody else in another department and ended it into a promotion. If I go reactive and go into blaming, I lose all of that, of it right in the moment. And it's very easy because the childhood, it was coming from a childhood where I had been, you know, some kind of taken advantage of, and I was kind of reacting from that place. So it's very important if we have a technique. If we don't, it's harder. But if you have a technique like the NICAN, it's really worth it trying it before you make a move.
And just that, first of all, thank you, Jocelyn. Really helpful and powerful information. I just want to say we're fortunate to have Jocelyn attending our sessions. Jocelyn is an internationally recognized expert in relationships with difficult people like me, and also, you know, how to work with toxic bosses and also, you know, identifying folks who may actually have serious and significant personality disorders, but mask them well. So first, I'm grateful, Jocelyn, that you attend our sessions and are affiliated with us. Jocelyn has so many great resources. I'm going to do several things. I will be posting a link for all of you to watch a 2-hour workshop that Jocelyn gave to folks throughout North America. I'm going to post that. If you want to register to watch that, you can do that, especially the folks on Facebook. It was 2 hours up. So important information was shared. So post a link with a poster for it, and you can register to watch that. Second of all, she will be doing a similar workshop on, you know, the difficulties of working with people with difficult behaviors. That also will be posted for those who speak French. You'll be able to register for that. That will be a live workshop, and that is on March 18th, correct, Jocelyn? Yeah. March 18th. You can register for that if you are French speaking. And third, Jocelyn, I'd like to invite you to do one of our next, probably our next session, our live session. So that would be in 2 weeks. I'd like to do another session with you about relationships, because I think they're so incredibly important. And we learn so much and grow so much when we are trying to improve our relationships. So consider this a 2-parter. Tonight was part 1. Part 2 will be Jocelyn and I focusing on, you know, some of the deeper techniques that we can do to help develop good, strong relationships, and also how to deal with difficult people. So if you're okay with that, Jocelyn, I will be putting that together, and I will promote that over the next 2 weeks, as well as your 2 workshops.
Sure.
Good. I'll also,
yeah, sorry, no, go ahead.
yeah, and I'll also be posting a link to her website. She has a tremendous resource set on her website about relationships and dealing with difficult people. So,
no. If you may, Mike, I'd like just to add one thing before passing the word. In relations to, the first point that you mentioned, which is about never criticize others in a defensive way or reactive way. There's something about that also, being authentic with who you are and saying, like I described in that situation with a man. However, if you are dealing with someone who has a personality disorder or some personality traits like, let's say, narcissism, for example, and that you were able to detect, you cannot go authentic. Why? Because the person will see you as a threat immediately because of the distorted view. So if you are dealing with someone who's, you can figure out, you can talk to, like I was with my friend, that's good. But some personality, you can, and that's very difficult, because the thing of the minute you're gonna say something about something you didn't like into what was done, the other one will go on escalating, defensive, and seeing you as a threat, and will want to get back to you. It may not be in the moment, it could be a month later, it could be a year later, but the person will get back to you. So this is very important to know, and that's why I think I'm doing those workshops as well, so that you recognize the situation you deal with. I know a businesswoman who didn't have that understanding, and went right face and saying the other one also about some sexual things happening. And the other one, however, didn't have the same personality. And from that point on, she became a target, and he attacked viciously through even the system of his organization to destroy her health, her reputation, or even a promotion coming. So there's something about that you need to know in the world we're in as well, that you have to equip yourself so that you use the right tool with the right person at the right time.
And you'll find out those tools and strategies in the workshop that we will post for you to watch. And then also when Jocelyn comes on for our next live session. So thank you, Jocelyn, and I appreciate that, and looking forward to working with you in our next session. And also really encourage people, look for those links to watch the pre-recorded workshop in English that we did, and then sign up for the one in French for those, if you have French-speaking friends and family. Janine.
This is just something that I've come to from some very rocky roads. A spiritual understanding that really I only have one relationship, and that is with spirit. And that through that relationship with spirit, I can have radical acceptance of where everybody is at their present state, in their state of consciousness, and keep my distance intact in my relationship with spirit, like my own energy inside me, and then just work with that person as they're capable of, not having expectations of something more than that. And there was a wonderful quote from my spiritual teacher that said, dance with the good ones and steer clear of the rest. So it's kind of like being able to see, and that, you don't always know that right at the beginning. It takes testing, and there are extenuating circumstances, but being able to recognize patterns of behavior, and that's okay, that's what I can expect. That person is always going to lie, or that person's always going to be late, and and then being honest and with my own integrity, going where the flow is healthier, higher, works, So that's just been my conclusion.
And you brought up a very important point, and that is recognizing that we are all operating from the very best state we can. We are operating from the best level of awareness, consciousness that we've developed so far. And oftentimes people can have technical proficiency, but be operating from a much lower state of consciousness. So it's important to recognize that people will operate from where they are, to have understanding, compassion, and patience. But also don't be walked on. Use your own responsibility to take care of yourself, to be cause in the situation. But recognize we're all at different levels of awareness, consciousness, and integrity. And we need to, trust in divine guidance, but also tie our camel. And be ready to take care of ourselves. So, Jean.
Well, this is also interesting to me because I just had a situation at work on Friday, and I work in a pharmacy with the head pharmacist. It was a very simple thing I approached him with. He knows my availability, and he had me on the schedule for a day that I couldn't work. And I approached him about it, and he said, later, I'll talk to you later. Every time I have to ask him a question, that's what he'll say, right? I've only been back to work about 3 months. I had a knee replacement, and he was new when I came back, this head pharmacist. Anyway, you'll probably get to it then in our next session about the tools, because I waited till later to talk to him. It was time for me to leave. Now, everybody had left the pharmacy because now there's this mandatory close time in the pharmacy. And so it was just me and him, and I will never, ever speak with him alone again. I need witnesses. But luckily the store manager heard us because only the gate was down in the pharmacy. So I think I used every tool I had in my tool belt. And and I understand that we're all at different states of consciousness. But he started, you talk about diversion, he started attacking me personally, my integrity, my work ethic. And, I said to him, and he called me a liar. And I've given my schedule 3 times. So that's the point where I kind of did lose my cool a little bit. Now I'm Italian and I talk with my hands. And I said, you can ask any district manager or pharmacist that I worked with, and I'm gesticulating with my hands, right? And he said, stop pointing at me. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. I'm not pointing at you. I tried to stay very, very cool. But that really, that got me. And I want to know, and I had stayed really cool up to that whole point, but he diverted the whole thing about the schedule into this whole other thing to attack me. And so that's what I need to learn. Like I recognized him already at this point that that's what he does. If he doesn't know something, or because I approached him, I had proof in my phone about the messages we had sent about my schedule, and that's when he lost it. I said, I'll show you the messages. He said, I deleted that. And I said, I didn't, I have it here. And that's when he started. So, and I noticed this before when I had questions about like somebody's insurance that I couldn't get it to go through for the prescription, and it needed a pharmacist code to go in there, right? Like he'll put you off. You should know how to do that, And so anyway, I'm finding this so helpful because, but I want to get to a point, like it took me a lot to really get excited, but it's like the way you girls both spoke about how you approached your coworker and your situation, which is great. And I usually can do that. Well, I've learned to do that. I didn't always do that. So I don't know, I don't want to ever, if this guy ever says he wants to speak with me again, I'm not going to do it alone. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Jocelyn, you want to take that?
Well, I think you said something earlier on, never talk to the man on your own. Always have someone with you, or someone who can overheard the conversation next to you, all right? Because you can see that he's trying to demean you, and he takes everything like an attack. So already you have traits there of a personality problem, I would say. We cannot diagnose that, but you have traits that are obviously given to you. So, and if you react and you go in the negative, people won't know if the problem is you or him. You see, so that's the trap. You don't want to get into that trap. So you remove yourself, you keep your proofs, you try to avoid as much as possible to interact with him. And when you have to do it in a way where someone is with you, as you said, or someone, as I said, sometimes he's going to talk to you behind the door. So ensure that what he says, or if he lowers his voice, just repeat what he's saying to you out loud, so that others around can see what's going on. And ultimately, of course, you know, it's your job, but ultimately this is toxic, and you want to think about option B or C into finding another area of job in that place or something else. But if you can, then you have to take this position, because that person is not at all in a position to understand anything about what you feel. And the fact that you showed something of a proof was also, as you said, received like something like trying to make him look like he had done something wrong, and those personality, that's the last thing that they can hear. So you have to be very careful when you bring information, that you never put yourself on the spot of becoming a target to that person.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to be clear again. Tonight, our focus was not how to deal with people who do those things, because we're going to cover that in our next session with Jocelyn. Tonight was about us using our own self-awareness to make sure we don't use the poison traits in our own relationships with other people. So that's really the goal of tonight. So next session, we'll talk about you know, putting good tools in your toolbox for dealing with. But I want to make sure that, you know, everyone who's listening and watching understand purpose of tonight was for us to use these tools to get away from actually pouring, you know, lighter fluid on the fire versus taking the time to be respectful, conscious, and use the antidotes before the snake bites you, right? You want to be practicing preventative medicine here. And that's what we're doing tonight. So thank you, Jean. Thank you, Jocelyn. Bridget.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael, for bringing forward this topic. And wow, Jocelyn, that was a big eye-opener there. And Janine as well. One thing I observed is that this also goes beyond interpersonal relationships, because I work with a community that I volunteer rather, or consult with a community that is in liaison with other communities. And over this past summer, something really bad happened. Excuse me. The director had a very big issue with the janitor, and he wanted to escalate it to the Board of Education. So he had a board meeting, and in that board meeting, Mike, these principles that you enunciate here, like the poisons and the antidotes, came clearly into play. And by a vote, he was advised not to escalate it, but to write to the board and tell them how he appreciates or appreciated their support over the years for giving a space for summer camp and for homework club. And then talk as an aside how it made the organization, the parents that drop off the kids, the teachers that come there feel that the janitor did certain things that he did. One of them was locking people out for almost an hour. And when he approached it like that, it was amazing, because the school board director now, they wrote him back and appreciated the fact that he appreciated them. And to make a long story short, yesterday he called me and said, you know what? The school board is going to give us a bus to bus the kids from their school to the homework club. So these are the kind of things that happen even beyond the personal organizational relationship. It has what you talk about today and what Jocelyn talked about have broader use or broader impact in affecting our society and how we relate to each other on a personal level and as an organization at an organizational level as well. Thank you both. Thank you, Janine. And this is really, I'm glad I joined today. It's really fantastic. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Bridget, and thanks for sharing that story. That really illustrates the power of what we're talking about tonight. So
Yeah.
good stuff. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you shared that.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else before we move to our commercial message for the evening from our sponsor? Randy. You'll want to unmute yourself if you want to say something.
There we go.
There we go.
I just found it was interesting when we were looking at the possibility of criticizing others and taking a defensive position and having immediate contempt for people, you know. And I'm thinking, boy, it's been a long time since, you know, I found myself in that position where I would, you know, I would fall into that and defensiveness and playing the victim of stonewalling, you know. And so when I look at all of that, I had an interesting feeling that I couldn't remember the last time that I ever had that kind of interaction with somebody, and how that would make me feel. It would be very disturbing that I would impose that on other people, you know. And so but I really appreciated what it's like to hone my skills as far as being able to have a more conscious and a more empathetic, I would say, relationship with people. You know, being as honest as possible and having an openly and non-defensive position and clarifying all the time. You know, this is not where I'm coming from, and appreciation and gratitude and everything. So that all comes into it, and I found that part of where all of where I'm coming from is that highest point of where we are, where I am, you know, and I arrive at that on a daily basis by what I do, how I connect with myself, how I open up the opportunities for me to take another step consciously and be able to, you know, serve others in the presence of who I am on a higher level. And so it was interesting. I was thinking to myself, I can't imagine, you know, criticizing others openly in a discussion, you know, whereas we have so much that we could accomplish with camaraderie, with harmony, with a higher level of connection with each other. I've been having this. We have a new employee, what a great guy. And so we've been having these wonderful conversations. And so I really, I appreciate this. And I really liked when you were saying operating from the highest point of where we are. That makes, that reminds me that we are constantly at a greater and higher point of where we are on a daily basis. And what better interaction could I have with someone than being able to relate to others from their highest point, recognize that. And and I've been having this experience with this new employee, and it's been really fantastic. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
Oh, and Randy, thanks for sharing that, because you're illustrating the power of what happens when we invest in our state of consciousness, when we invest in keeping our attention on what will bring the greatest amount of good for all in what we say and do and think. And it shows, and it shows how you live and how you work, cooperate with people and connect with people. That's in a roundabout way, tonight was to encourage people to continue to invest in themselves, in their growth, in their self-awareness, and in their awareness of how we connect with other people. Because the truth of it is, we are actually all connected. And what we say and do and think about or towards one other person, we say and do and think about ourselves. It reflects that. And so if we say and do and think the highest for ourselves, and we see that what we do that's positive for others is a positive we're doing for ourselves and for, the whole, right? For everyone, because we're all connected. Everyone, the whole field of consciousness grows and expands when we grow and expands, and gets more positive when we act more positive, all right, and more authentically. It gets more negative when we act more negatively. So I like to keep that in mind, that, is what I think, say, and do, how do I recognize how it's going to affect the whole? And is that really the contribution I want to make to the whole, right? It causes me to think twice, right? Out of a desire to, spread love and service to all life. So that was, a big part tonight was just, calling attention to these tools, and also a mirror to you all of how incredible you are, how incredibly positive, compassionate, sensitive, caring, cooperative, communicative. So, at this point, I want to express my gratitude for you all being who you are. My purpose tonight is just to call these things to your attention. And also, there are people watching on Facebook who might need to hear this, might need to be picking up, a tool, picking up a new perspective, or just recognize one of these traits or situations in their lives, and perhaps it'll shed some light on options that they have. So thank you all for, doing that, and for, contributing to tonight. I am going to move to my commercial message here. It's going to be quick and try to make it painless. But these programs are brought to you by my company, Integrated Wellness and Development, LLC. And there are a lot of programs here to help you personally and professionally. And I feel I would be doing you a disservice by not talking about it. And this is especially for the folks who are watching on Facebook who have not attended any of our previous programs. The new program I've just launched, I'm really excited about, is the Evolved Health Caring Thought Leader Program. This is a individual coaching and masterclass program for people in the healthcare industry who are looking to recapture the love of healthcare again, who are looking to become healthcare entrepreneurs, who are looking to expand into touching many people online and becoming a thought leader. This is offering an incredible amount of training, one-on-one coaching, done-for-you programs, right? So I'll be providing coaching sessions, text and email interactions, access to all of my programs. Also, I will be creating a custom sales funnel for them, custom CRM, email marketing program, install that for them with the funnel. I will create a marketing video with my video staff, and also giving them assistance in creating and running their workshops, seminars, summits, classes. Also help them in creating their first online course. It's an incredible package of services. And if you're interested in that, go to evolvedhealthcaring.com. The doctors and healthcare professionals I am working with currently have had tremendous benefit from it. And it literally is changing the way they approach their work. It's bringing additional revenues and additional avenues for impacting positively the health of the world. So I encourage any of you who are or know people in the healthcare industry, send them to evolvedhealthcaring.com. You'll be quite impressed with what's there. Second, Goal Mastery Journaling System is the entry level for those of you who have not interacted with my programs in the past. This is an amazing program that combines 7 different journaling systems into one. It combines inspiration, setting up your day. It includes motivational, time management, goal achievement, decision-making, values discovery, dream study, right? Just an amazing collection of tools. It is an online study at your own pace, 12-week program. There are videos that go along with each section of the journal. And there have been dozens and dozens of people who've participated live and through the recordings. Really encourage you. It will change your life. And that leads to our masterclass, the Your 9 Steps program for Goal Achievement Mastery. This program is so deep and has so many benefits, and it takes you step by step on how to develop a system for yourself to achieve your goals. There's so many things out there. You know, we're at the beginning of the year. A lot of people have set their New Year's resolutions, right? Well, setting resolutions will not get the job done. We need to move from goal setting to goal achieving. And that is a process, a formula, and requires a proven system if you want success. And this is a proven system. And so if you go to MikeDeLucaCoach.com, you'll be able to find out more about this program, sign up for it, take advantage of the big discount, both on this and the Goal Achievement Mastery Journaling Program. I've extended the discount due to demand, and I will extend it till the end of March. Please go to MikeDeLucaCoach.com and take a look at that program. Again, it will change your life. And finally, if you are interested in a deeper dive about dreams, if you have relatives and friends who are interested in their dreams, this is a great program. I've included a workshop I did on quantum dreaming to a group of coaches from around the world. I have in there my own unique dream journaling system. I have in there programs about exploring different types of dreams and directing your dreams, and also the unique dream journal. Interested in that? RideMyDreams.com. Simple website to remember if you have family or friends interested in diving deeper into their dreams, and without any affiliation or direction with any group or belief system or philosophy. This is strictly something anyone of any belief, any faith, any philosophical background. It's a great program for atheists and agnostics as well. RideMyDreams.com. Go there and you'll find out more about this great program. So encourage you to take a look at that. that's what pays the bills. That's what keeps the internet running. That's what helps me create my programs and meet with you every Sunday, either live or recorded, as well as all the things that I'm doing for the folks that are working with me to help put food on their tables and help them pay their rent. This is what makes the world go round. So thanks for your attention. For those of you who are already customers, I appreciate you. Very grateful for you. And as always, thank you all for joining us tonight, whether you've joined us here live on Zoom or whether you've joined us on Facebook Live. This recording will stay up on Facebook Live on my personal Facebook page. You all have the link to that. You can go and access that anytime you wish. So with that, really appreciate you, your time. Thanks for being here. I love you all and look forward to serving you again in our next meeting. Have a great night, a great week, a great life, and we will see you again soon. Take care.